We're being asked to graph these four equations, but we have to solve them first. When I look at my equation, and I look at the side of the inequality where my x is, I see my x is not alone. Because this is being multiplied, I need to divide by that 3. Divide by 3. After I do that, I get x is greater than, negative divide positive is negative, 9 divide 3 is 3. I have to check, did I divide by a negative? No. So my sign stays the same. Graphing it, I find my negative 3. X has to be greater than that. So if I say negative 2 compared to negative 3, that would work. So I draw my line in the direction of that negative 2. Next thing I have to do is decide, is it round parentheses or is it square bracket? As I look at my symbol, I see that there is not a equal to part on there. So because it's not equal, it's round. The next problem. Similar situation. X shows up only once. It is not alone on its side of the inequality. I have to get rid of this negative 5. It's being multiplied, so I'm going to divide. What I do on one side, I do the same thing on the other. So now the negative 5 cancels itself. I have x. 20 divided by negative 5. Positive divide negative is negative. 20 divide 5 is 4. I have to figure out now, do I want to switch my sign or not switch my sign? I divide it by a negative number. My sign gets switched. Now I have my answer. I need to graph it. I find negative 4. Do I want to graph in the direction of negative 5 or do I want to graph in the direction of negative 3? X is greater than negative 4. If this were money, would you rather owe $3 or would you rather owe $4? Would you rather owe $5 or would you rather owe $4? So using a checkpoint, negative 3 is greater than negative 4. So I want it to go in the direction of negative 3. Round parentheses or square brackets. No equal to part on there. So it's round. This example, I have just a negative sign in front of my letter. To make things a little easier for me, I'm going to multiply by 1. Now I can see that I need to divide the negative 1 over. So I divide by negative 1. Divide by negative 1. So now I have y is alone on this side. 0 divided by negative 1. Am I allowed to do that? Yes. When I do that, I get 0. Because I'm dividing, I now have to ask myself, am I dividing by a positive or a negative number? I'm dividing by a negative. So that is telling me I need to switch my sign around. So the opening was towards the y, now the opening is away from the y. It has the equal to part on it, I keep the equal to part on it. So I have y is less than or equal to 0. Find my 0 on my graph. Y has to be less than that. I need to figure out square or round. It has the extra little bar on there. That is going to be square. Now I have my solution and I have my graph. My last problem down here has a fraction. You can either use your calculator to solve it, or you can do it by hand. If you're going to use your calculator to solve it, you need to divide by 5/6, divide by 5/6. So you would type that in on your calculator as -8, divide by 5 ABC 6 equals, and get your answer. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it partly by hand. I am going to multiply by 6/5. Now I have the x, the 5 cancels the 5, the 6 cancels the 6. No negatives involved, so I keep my sign the same direction. Hold on to my equal to part. Over on this side, I have a negative times a positive. I'm going to keep the negative, but it's not changing my symbol. 8 times 6 over 5. Eight times 6, 48. Over 5. Now, depending on how you are told to answer this, if you're told to answer as an improper fraction, you're good. This is done. If you're told to answer this as a mixed number or a decimal number, you have more work to do. So as a decimal number, 48 divided by 5, 9.6, negative. So I would have x is less than or equal to negative 9.6, which means I find my negative 9.6. X is going to be less than that, so that's going to take it out to the negative direction. It does equal, so that makes me square it off, and I now have my graph. Now there's another part to this that they want you to do. We have our answers in inequality notation. They want us to answer it also in interval notation. So interval notation, I'm going to say, where does it start? Where does it end? And do I use round or do I use square? So for this top one here, it starts at -3. It ends with the arrow, which means it goes all the way to infinity. It starts with the parentheses, and infinity always gets the parentheses. Second example. It's starting with the parentheses. Starts at -4. Ends with the arrow, so that means it's going all the way to infinity. And infinity always gets the round parentheses. Third example. Starts with an arrow. That means it's starting at -infinity. Infinity always gets the round parentheses. This time it's starting, so it gets the open round parentheses. Goes up to 0. And I can see that it's ending with the squared off bracket. Last example down here, it starts with the arrow. So that means it's going all the way to infinity. This time it's the negative infinity, just like up here. Infinity always gets the round parentheses, comma, it comes up to negative 9.6. And it's ending with a square bracket. Now I have it written in interval notation.